Welcome to Concussion Talk Podcast. I'm Nick Mercer. This is day 66 of my bike trip across Canada. Day 66, Arnold's Cove to St. John's, 170.05 kilometers. Biking time, 7 hours and 33 minutes, 8,002 kilometers total. About a week has passed since the ride, and I just saw Kinger at the airport. But I remember the day well. What an awesome trip. This was our earliest departure from camp by far, on the road at 5:30. I remember how slow and tired we both were as we crept our way down the highway. The fog was thick enough to swallow you, so this was one of the few mornings we couldn't wear our sunglasses. The fog also made everything damp and cool, which ordinarily would have been great, but it wasn't what either of us wanted at 5:30 in the morning. We had barely woken up, and we had nothing but fog and hills ahead of us. Eventually, the fog completely lifted. The fog was always thick in that stretch of highway, leaving us only with hills. That was the case until we reached Whitburn. There we had a late breakfast/lunch, and I called Mom to tell her when she could expect us. The highway was divided east of Whitburn, and therefore flattens out. We took a break at a turn in the highway, and with about 35 kilometers left to St. John's, according to the road signs. Once we made that turn, the wind caught us and we were flying. That was fun. Just before we took the exit for downtown St. John's, a cyclist driving a truck pulled over and asked us if we needed a place to crash in town. I thanked him and excitedly told him that I was from St. John's. We got off the highway in Kilbride, got a Gatorade, and headed towards Cape Spear. If we hadn't been so excited about finishing, that ride to Cape Spear would have been ridiculously painful. We had already biked out 140 kilometers, and then to ride over those hills. Our excitement numbed us from about Whitburn on, so although it was brutally tough, none of us really minded. In the Cape Spear parking lot, we met some interested tourists, gave them a trip summary, took pictures of us with our bikes, and although there were a few whales splashing around, we kept the stop relatively short. From there, we headed back downtown, turned up Springdale Street, onto New Gower, over Queens Road, to Monkstown, and then home. Mom stuck around to congratulate us, but with Dad away, she left the house to Kinger and me, and went to her friend's place in a town nearby. That night, Kinger, Doug, Penny, Danny, and I went to the last night of Georgia Festival. A great end to a great trip. Looking back 10 years later. Even by the end of the trip, we weren't cyclists. We were two guys who biked a lot that summer. The goal was never, by the end of this trip, we'll be cyclists. It was, by the end of this trip, we'll have biked across Canada. Nevertheless, we were good on the bikes, and since we left Barrie on July 14th, we had covered 3,395 kilometers, and had taken only 2 rest days, both in Kingston. Those were 3 very tough weeks, but they were also easy. There was barely any mental strain to bike that much. Physically, there was no doubt I was tired, but the mental exertion to cycle 170 kilometers was the same mental exertion as packing up the tent or clipping into my pedals. Once that was conquered, it was smooth sailing. Thank you so much for listening. This concludes my bike trip across Canada from 2002. And although it says I said 10 years later, I actually read that book in 2012, originally read the book in 2012. So it's actually been 16 years. But the sentiments are the same. If you get a chance, please check out my website, www.concussiontalks.com, and hopefully you can read my blogs and check out my other podcasts. But right now I'm having some website difficulties. I will be back tomorrow to talk about one final conclusion to the trip, and then again on Friday to discuss the rest of this summer and fall. So thank you so much again for listening and tuning into this podcast. As always, music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound, www.bensound.com.